The massive ship appeared without warning. One moment, the space near Jupiter was empty. The next, a vessel larger than anything humanity had ever built tore through the fabric of space itself. Its dark hull absorbed light rather than reflected it, making it look like a moving shadow against the stars. In the United Defense Force headquarters beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral James Walker stood frozen before the main display screen. His coffee cup stopped halfway to his mouth. Forgotten. 20 years of military service hadn't prepared him for this moment. "Sir," his second-in-command, Tom Roberts, spoke quietly. "The object is 3 times the size of our largest space carrier." Walker placed his cup down slowly. "Get me a full scan. And contact Mars Colony and Venus Station. I want to know if they're seeing this too." The control room buzzed with activity. Screens lit up with data as Earth's advanced sensor networks focused on the mysterious vessel. Despite humanity's progress in space travel and their successful colonies on Mars and Venus, they had never encountered alien life. Until now. "Admiral," a young officer called out, her voice steady despite the tension. "Mars Colony confirms visual contact. Venus Station reports the same. They're both getting readings that match ours." Walker nodded, his gray eyes fixed on the main screen. The ship's design was unlike anything in human records. It had a series of rings that spun slowly around its central core, and patterns of light pulsed along its hull in sequences that seemed almost like a language. "Energy readings are off the charts, sir," Roberts reported. "Whatever their power source is, it makes our fusion reactors look like car batteries." The room fell silent as new data appeared on the screens. The alien ship had launched smaller vessels, sleek, dart-like crafts that moved with impossible speed through space. "They're sending probes," Walker observed. "Standard first contact procedure for them. I guess. They want to know what they're dealing with." He thought about humanity's hidden strengths, about the technologies they kept secret from even their own people. For a moment, he considered revealing some of their true capabilities, but years of training kept him silent. Let the visitors see what they expected to see. A young species just beginning to reach for the stars. The probes spread out across the solar system. Some headed toward Mars and Venus. Others moved to scan Earth's moon. One approached Earth itself, maintaining a respectful distance just beyond the orbit of their moon. "Sir," Roberts said, "the probes are broadcasting. All frequencies, all channels. They're not trying to hide." Walker straightened his uniform. "Put it through." The message came first in an unknown language, sounds that human vocal cords couldn't reproduce. Then, after a pause, it switched to perfect English. "Greetings, inhabitants of Sol's system. You have been noticed by the Galactic Empire. Prepare for formal contact. Your system will be evaluated for membership." The words seemed polite, but Walker had spent enough time in military politics to recognize a threat when he heard one. The message wasn't an invitation. It was a warning. "Send acknowledgement of their message," Walker ordered. Standard diplomatic response. "No need to show our hand yet." As his staff carried out the orders, Walker walked to the window that overlooked the underground command center. Hundreds of personnel worked at their stations, each trained for this very moment, though none had really believed it would come. He thought about Project Guardian, hidden in plain sight among the asteroids. He thought about the ancient warnings they'd found, the messages from long-dead civilizations that had helped humanity prepare for this day. "Sir," Roberts stood beside him. "What are your orders?" Walker turned back to face the room. "For now, we watch, we wait, we let them think they know what they're dealing with." He smiled slightly. "After all, there's no reason to spoil their surprise just yet." The alien ship continued its slow approach through their solar system, unaware that they weren't the hunters they thought they were. Earth had been waiting for this moment for a very long time. 48 hours after first contact, the Empire made their true intentions clear. The massive Imperial ship had positioned itself just beyond Mars' orbit, its dark hull blocking out the stars behind it. Smaller ships now surrounded it like insects around a giant, each one larger than Earth's biggest space vessels. In the United Defense Force Command Center, Admiral Walker watched the main screen as it lit up with an incoming transmission. The Empire had chosen a human face for their communication interface, a tall man with perfect features that looked almost too symmetrical to be real. "People of Earth," the figure spoke, its voice deep and carefully modulated. "I am Command Interface Marcus Reed. I speak with the full authority of the Galactic Empire." Walker noted how they'd chosen a human name, probably thinking it would make Earth's people more comfortable. Instead, it felt wrong, like a wolf wearing sheep's clothing. "Your solar system has been evaluated," Reed continued. "The Empire requires your immediate submission. Your technology level is adequate for basic membership, and your resources will serve the Empire well." The room remained silent. Years of training kept the staff professional, but Walker could see their hands tightening on their controls. "You have 2 standard planetary rotations to submit your response," Reed announced. "The Empire is generous. Those who join willingly are treated well. Those who resist—" The image smiled, but it didn't reach its eyes. "Well, there are many cautionary tales about those who resist." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in silence. "They've sent the same message to every major city on Earth," Roberts reported, checking his displays. "Mars Colony and Venus Station report receiving it too." Walker stood up slowly. "Get me the Global Defense Council. Now." Within minutes, the screen showed faces from around the world. Military leaders, politicians, and scientists who knew Earth's true capabilities. They had prepared for this moment for generations. "The Empire has made their move," Walker said. "They're following the exact pattern we found in the ancient warnings. They expect us to either submit or try to fight with the technology we've let them see." "How many ships in their fleet?" asked General Mary Thompson from the European Command. 317, Walker replied. "About what we expected. They always send enough ships to overwhelm what they can detect of a planet's defenses, plus a safety margin. And they haven't detected anything unusual in the asteroid belt." This from Dr. Alan Reed, head of Project Guardian. "Nothing. The camouflage is holding perfectly. They've scanned it twice, found exactly what they expected to find. Just rocks and ice." The council members exchanged looks. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for this moment, hiding their true capabilities behind a carefully constructed mask of limited technology. "The real question," Walker continued, "is whether we follow the plan or try something different. They've given us 48 hours. The plan was made by people smarter than us," Thompson said firmly. "People who studied every invasion attempt the Empire made on other worlds. We stick to it." The others nodded in agreement. Earth would play its part, pretend to be the frightened younger species the Empire expected, right up until the moment they revealed what humanity was truly capable of. Walker looked at the Empire's ships on the main display. They hung in space, confident in their superiority, unaware that they were being watched by defenses they couldn't even imagine. "Send word to all colonies and outposts," he ordered. "Tell them to maintain current status. No unauthorized communications with the Imperial ships. Let them think we're arguing among ourselves about whether to submit." As his staff carried out the orders, Walker thought about the ancient warnings they'd found buried on Mars 30 years ago. Messages left by civilizations that had faced the Empire and failed. But they had given humanity something precious: time to prepare and knowledge of exactly what they would face. The Empire had conquered thousands of worlds, but they had never encountered a species that knew they were coming. Never faced a civilization that had spent centuries preparing just for them. In 48 hours, it would learn what that meant. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, behind walls of steel and stone, Earth's greatest secret lay hidden. The command center buzzed with activity as Admiral Walker led Dr. Alan Reed through security checkpoints, each more advanced than the last. "The Empire thinks they're being patient," Walker said, his footsteps echoing in the corridor. giving us time to realize how hopeless our situation is. But they've actually given us exactly what we need: time to activate everything. They entered a vast circular room filled with glowing blue lights. At its center stood a massive holographic display showing the entire solar system. Tiny dots of light marked the Empire's ships, but they weren't what Dr. Reed was looking at. He stared at the asteroid belt, where thousands of small points of green light pulsed quietly. "Project Guardian is ready," he said simply. "Has been for 50 years, just waiting for this moment." Walker nodded, watching the Imperial ships move through space. "Tell me again what we found on Mars. I want to be absolutely certain we're doing this right." Reed pulled up images on a nearby screen. Strange symbols and diagrams carved into Martian rock, hidden for millions of years until human explorers found them. "The warning was left by 3 different species," Reed explained. "Each one fell to the Empire, but each one managed to leave us information. The Empire always follows the same pattern. They observe, they demand submission, and then they attack with overwhelming force." He paused. "Or what they think is overwhelming force." Walker watched as more data flowed across the screens. The ancient messages had been Earth's first proof that they weren't alone in the universe. But instead of causing panic, they had given humanity a priceless gift: the knowledge of what was coming and time to prepare. "Show me Guardian's current status," Walker ordered. The holographic display zoomed in on the asteroid belt. What looked like normal space rocks to Imperial scanners were actually the most advanced weapons humanity had ever created. Each asteroid contained technology that worked on principles the Empire had never imagined. "Energy levels at maximum," Reed reported. "The asteroids can maintain their camouflage indefinitely. The Empire's scans show exactly what we want them to see: just a normal belt of space rocks." "And Mars colony, Venus station. Same status. Every colony looks like exactly what the Empire expects: small outposts of a young spacefaring species. They have no idea that each one is a fortress." Walker smiled slightly. For centuries, humanity had shown the galaxy exactly what they expected to see. They had advanced their technology in secret, hidden their true capabilities behind a mask of apparent normalcy. The colonies that looked so simple to Imperial scans were actually technological marvels. "Sir," a young officer called out. "New transmission from the Empire." The main screen lit up with the artificial face of Marcus Reed. "Your time grows short," the Empire's messenger said. "We detect much communication between your worlds. Are you perhaps struggling to reach the obvious conclusion? The Empire can be very generous to those who submit willingly." Walker exchanged glances with Dr. Reed. The Empire's condescending tone was exactly what the ancient warnings had predicted. They always assumed younger species would be primitive, helpless. "Send the response we prepared," Walker ordered after the transmission ended. "Tell them Earth's leaders need 6 more hours to reach a decision. Make it sound desperate." As his staff carried out the orders, Walker walked to the window overlooking the underground complex. Hundreds of people worked at their stations, each one knowing their role in what was to come. Humanity had spent generations preparing for this moment, building defenses that the Empire couldn't even comprehend. "It's almost funny," Dr. Reed said quietly, joining him at the window. "They think they're hunting us. They don't realize they've walked into our trap." Walker nodded. Soon, very soon, the Empire would learn what humanity had hidden in the asteroid belt. They would learn why Earth had chosen peace for so long, not from weakness, but from strength. The time for hiding was almost over. The time had come. Admiral Walker stood in the command center, watching the Empire's deadline tick away on the main screen. Around him, his staff worked with quiet efficiency, each person knowing that the next few minutes would change human history forever. "Imperial ships are moving closer," Roberts reported from his station. "They're positioning themselves for a show of force." Walker nodded. The Empire always followed the same pattern. The ancient warnings had been very clear about that. First came the demands, then the threats, and finally a demonstration of power meant to frighten their targets into submission. "Send the message," Walker ordered. On the screen, the words appeared in simple English. "Scan the asteroid belt." The Empire's response came quickly. The artificial face of Marcus Reed appeared, wearing an expression of practiced patience. "Your time has expired," he announced. "Yet you ask us to waste time scanning lifeless rocks." "Just scan the asteroid belt," Walker repeated. "That's all we ask. One thorough scan." There was a pause, and Walker could almost imagine the Imperial commanders laughing at this strange request from what they thought was a primitive species. "Very well," Reed replied. "If it will help you understand your situation, we will humor this request." On the main display, Walker watched as Imperial scanning beams swept through the asteroid belt. Once, twice, 3 times they scanned, finding nothing but what appeared to be normal space rocks. "Sir," Dr. Reed spoke quietly from his station, "they've completed their scans. All camouflage systems performed perfectly." Walker took a deep breath. "Initiate Project Guardian." Full reveal. Throughout the command center, people stopped what they were doing. This was the moment they had trained for, the reveal that humanity had prepared for centuries. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, the asteroids began to change. Their rocky surfaces shifted, revealing gleaming metal and pulsing energy fields. What had appeared to be a simple belt of space rocks transformed into the most powerful defense network ever created. Thousands of stations activated, each one powered by technology that worked on principles the Empire had never seen. Energy readings that their sensors couldn't even measure began to fill space. "Imperial ships are going to battle stations," Roberts reported. "Their weapons are powering up." "Let them," Walker said calmly. "Send the second message." New words appeared on the screen. "This is humanity's only warning. Watch carefully." Dr. Reed's fingers flew over his control panel. "Targeting system online. Test object selected. Uninhabited moon of Jupiter, as planned." Walker gave the order. "Fire." A single beam of energy shot out from one of the revealed stations. It looked almost beautiful, a thread of light that seemed too small to be dangerous. It struck the chosen moon, and for a moment nothing happened. Then the moon simply ceased to exist. There was no explosion, no debris field. The energy beam had broken down its very atomic structure, converting its entire mass to pure energy in a controlled reaction that didn't harm anything else in the solar system. The command center was silent. On the screens, they could see the Imperial ships suddenly backing away, their previous confidence gone. "Their sensors are going crazy," Roberts said, almost smiling. "They're detecting energy readings that are off their charts. Their systems can't even classify what they're seeing." A new transmission came in from the Empire. Marcus Reed's perfect face now showed something close to fear. This is impossible. Your species couldn't possibly." Walker cut off the transmission. "Send our final message for this phase." The words were simple, direct. "Now you understand why we chose peace. Not because we were weak, because we were strong enough to afford it. Your ships have 30 minutes to leave our solar system." On the main display, the Imperial fleet had stopped their advance. For the first time in their long history of conquest, they faced something they hadn't expected. A species that had known they were coming, had prepared for them, and had technology far beyond their understanding. The hunters had just become the hunted. The vanished moon left a perfect emptiness in space. In the Earth Defense Command Center, Admiral Walker watched as the Imperial ships scrambled to make sense of what they had just witnessed. "Their sensors are still trying to analyze what happened," Roberts reported, reading from his screen. "They've never seen anything like it before. They can't even detect any debris, because there isn't any." Dr. Reed nodded from his station. "That's the beauty of the system. Total conversion of matter to energy, perfectly controlled. Their weapons use brute force. Ours simply change the rules." The Imperial fleet had gathered into a defensive formation, their confident attack positions abandoned. Their massive ships now looked less like proud warriors and more like animals ready to flee. "Sir," a young officer called out, "we're getting multiple transmissions from their fleet. They're all trying to contact us at once." Walker allowed himself a small smile. Put their commander through, just their commander. The artificial face of Marcus Reed appeared again on the main screen, but now its perfect features showed clear signs of stress. "This is impossible," he said. "Our scans showed your technology level. You shouldn't be capable of this." "Your scans showed exactly what we wanted them to show," Walker replied calmly, "just like they have for the past 100 years. Every time your ships passed through our system, they saw what they expected to see. A young species just beginning to reach for the stars." On the tactical display, more of Project Guardian stations were revealing themselves. Each asteroid belt installation now shone with barely contained power, their true forms no longer hidden behind carefully crafted disguises. "Sir," Roberts interrupted, "Mars Colony reports their defenses are ready to reveal. Venus Station reports the same." Walker nodded. "Show them." Across the solar system, humanity's colonies shed their simple appearances. What had looked like basic habitation domes and solar panels transformed into massive fortress complexes. Defense systems that had been disguised as communication arrays powered up, their energy readings making the Imperial sensors scream warnings. You knew we were coming," Reed said slowly. "The entire time, you knew." "We found the warnings," Walker confirmed. "Messages left behind by the civilizations you conquered. They told us everything. Your patterns, your tactics, your technology. So we prepared. For centuries, we prepared." Another moon-destroying beam shot out from a different station, this time striking a small asteroid. Like the moon, it simply ceased to exist, converted to pure energy without any explosion or debris. "That asteroid," Dr. Reed spoke up, "was about the size of your smallest ship. Just so you understand exactly what we're capable of." The Imperial fleet began to move, slowly at first, then with increasing speed. Their weapons powered down, their defensive shields dropped, gestures of submission that the ancient warnings had said the Empire had never offered before. "Wait," Reed's image said quickly. "Please, the Empire can offer you." Walker cut off the transmission with a wave of his hand. "Send the final demonstration message." New words appeared on all Imperial screens. "Your weapons are based on physics as you understand it. Ours change physics itself. You have 15 minutes remaining to leave our solar system. This time will not be extended." In the command center, staff members watched as the Imperial ships began to turn away from Earth. The massive vessels that had arrived with such confidence now moved like frightened fish fleeing a bigger predator. "Should we reveal the rest of our capabilities?" Dr. Reed asked quietly. Walker shook his head. "No need. Let them guess at what else we might be hiding. Sometimes, imagination is more powerful than knowledge." On the main screen, the Imperial fleet grew smaller as they retreated. For the first time in their long history of conquest, they had found a species that had not only prepared for them, but had surpassed them entirely. The hunters had become the hunted, and they knew it. The Imperial fleet hung at the edge of the solar system, their massive ships now looking small against the vast darkness of space. In the command center, Admiral Walker watched them carefully as the last few minutes of their deadline ticked away. "They're still sending messages," Roberts said from his station. "Hundreds of them. Offers of trade, promises of alliance, even threats mixed in with pleas." Walker nodded. "They're trying everything they can think of. Just like the ancient warnings said they would. The Empire has never learned to accept defeat gracefully." The main screen showed the full might of Project Guardian now. The asteroid belt glowed with power, each station fully revealed. Mars and Venus had also shown their true faces, their hidden defenses now clearly visible to the Imperial sensors. "Sir," a young officer called out, "we're detecting energy buildups in their ships. Not weapons. Looks like they're preparing their jump drives." Good, Walker said quietly. They finally understood the message. The artificial face of Marcus Reed appeared one last time on the screen, its perfect features now showing clear signs of fear. Please, it said, the Empire wishes to understand how you achieved this level of technology. We can offer you. No, Walker cut him off. You don't get to make offers anymore. Your time is almost up. 8 minutes remaining. On the tactical display, more data streamed in. The Imperial ships were preparing to leave, but they were also scanning everything they could see. They wanted to understand how they had been so completely outmatched. Dr. Reed looked up from his station. They're particularly interested in the moon we removed. Their sensors keep going back to that empty space. Let them look, Walker replied. They won't understand what they're seeing. Their entire technology is based on forcing the universe to do what they want. Ours works with it instead. The command center fell quiet as they watched the Imperial fleet begin to move. The massive ships turned slowly, like huge animals finally accepting that they had met something bigger than themselves. Sir, Roberts spoke up, Mars colony reports they're getting similar readings. The Imperial ships near them are also preparing to leave. Same with the ones near Venus. Walker stood up from his chair and walked to the main display. The Empire's ships looked different now, no longer threatening, just lost and confused. For the first time in their history of conquest, they had found someone who had been ready for them. Send the final message, he ordered. New words appeared on all Imperial communications channels. Your time is almost up. But remember this, we chose peace for centuries not because we had to, but because we wanted to. Remember that when you think about returning. The Imperial ship's engines flared to life. One by one, they disappeared into jump space, leaving behind only fading energy signatures. The mighty fleet that had arrived to conquer Earth was running away. Last ship has jumped out, Roberts reported. Solar system is clear of Imperial vessels. A cheer started to rise from the staff, but Walker held up his hand. Not yet, he said. Dr. Reed, are you detecting any hidden observers? Anything they might have left behind? Reed checked his instruments carefully. No, sir. They're really gone. And they were in too much of a hurry to leave any monitoring devices. Walker finally allowed himself to relax slightly. Now we can celebrate. But quietly. Our work isn't done. He looked at the main screen, where the last energy signatures of the Imperial ships were fading away. Humanity had won their first encounter with the Galactic Empire, but everyone in the room knew this wasn't the end. They'll be back, Dr. Reed said quietly. Not to fight. At least not right away. But they'll want to know how we did it. How we hid so much from them for so long. Walker nodded. Yes, they'll be back. But next time, they'll come with respect. And maybe, just maybe, we can teach them a better way than conquest. The solar system was quiet again, but it was a different kind of quiet now. Not the silence of a hidden power, but the peace of a revealed strength. 1 week after the Empire's retreat, Admiral Walker stood at the window of his office in the Rocky Mountain Command Center, watching the sun rise over Earth. The planet looked peaceful, as it always had, but everything had changed. Sir, Roberts entered the room with a tablet in his hand. We're getting reports from our deep space monitors. The Empire is spreading the word about us across the galaxy. Walker turned from the window. What are they saying? Pretty much what we expected. They're calling Earth a hidden power and warning others about our technology. Roberts smiled slightly. They're particularly focused on how we made a moon disappear without any explosion. The main screen in Walker's office lit up with data from across the solar system. Project Guardian had returned to its hiding places, the defensive stations once again looking like simple asteroids. Mars and Venus colonies had also hidden their true strength, appearing once more as basic outposts. Any sign they're planning to return? Walker asked. Yes, but not with weapons. Dr. Reed walked in, carrying his own reports. They're preparing a diplomatic mission. A real one this time, not a conquest force pretending to be diplomatic. Walker nodded, remembering the ancient warnings they had found. They had spoken of the Empire's pattern of conquest, but also hinted at something else, the Empire's ability to learn and adapt when they had to. "Sir," a young officer appeared at the door. "The Global Defense Council is ready for your report." Walker followed her to the conference room, where screens showed faces from around the world. Military leaders, politicians, and scientists who had all worked together to protect Earth were waiting to hear what would happen next. The first phase was successful. Walker began. "The Empire now knows we're strong, but they don't know all our capabilities. They've seen enough to respect us, but not enough to truly fear us." "And the ancient warnings?" General Thompson asked from her screen. "Did everything happen as they predicted?" "Almost exactly," Walker replied. "The Empire followed their usual pattern right up until they realized they weren't the strongest force in the room. Then they did what the warnings said they would do. They retreated to rethink their entire approach." The council members nodded. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for this moment, and their planning had paid off perfectly. "What happens now?" someone asked. Walker brought up a new display showing the solar system. "Now we wait. The Empire will send real diplomats this time. They'll want to know how we developed our technology, how we hid it from them for so long. They'll offer trades, alliances, anything to learn our secrets." "And our response?" Dr. Reed asked. "We'll talk with them," Walker said simply. "We'll trade with them. We'll even share some of our knowledge. The basic stuff, nothing too advanced. But most importantly, we'll show them there's a better way than conquest." The room fell quiet as everyone considered this. They had prepared for war, but one without firing a shot, except at one empty moon. Now they had the chance to change the galaxy's future. "The ancient warnings told us how to defeat the Empire," Walker continued. "But they also told us something else, that the Empire could learn, could change, if someone was strong enough to show them a different path." He looked around the room, meeting each person's eyes. "That's our real mission now. Not just protecting Earth, but showing the galaxy that strength doesn't have to mean conquest. That peace isn't the same as weakness." Outside the command center, life on Earth continued as normal. People went about their daily lives, most of them never knowing how close they had come to war, or how well protected they had been all along. In space, the asteroid belt looked peaceful again. Mars and Venus appeared to be simple colonies. Earth seemed like just another planet. But the galaxy now knew differently. Humanity had revealed just enough of their strength to change everything, while keeping enough hidden to ensure their peace would last. The Empire would return, but not as conquerors. They would come as equals, ready to learn about the power of choosing peace when you're strong enough to afford it.